Okay, we brought our three things over to the ironing board and we have our iron over here. So what you're going to do first is to lay your woven fabric pretty side down. If there is a right side and a wrong side, you want your pretty side or your right side down. Okay, then on top of that you're going to place your light bonding material, and you're going to make it so the paper side is up. The grabbier or stickier side of the part you're going to iron on is down. So we're going to begin ironing this on, and you're not really ironing, you're pressing. And a lot of people tell you that pressing means you're not moving your iron from side to side, ironing, but you're merely picking your iron up and pressing it down. Picking it up and pressing it down. Now naturally I would have checked to make sure that all this heat isn't going to damage my woven piece before I began this project. That's something that I forgot to mention originally, but you always want to test your woven fabric first, a little piece of it, before you begin this project to make sure that it's going to withstand the heat. And what this is going to do is it's going to help to keep this woven fabric from ever unraveling when you're sewing it or after it's sewn. And I would continue doing this for another few minutes, going around and around pressing, making sure that all of the parts of the heat and bond light is bonded well. Okay, I think that everything is bonded pretty well. I'll put my iron over to the side, and I'm going to wait for this to cool for just a moment or two. And after it's cooled for a moment or two, I'm going to begin at one of the corners and just begin to peel it back. And if you'll notice, maybe you can see, it's leaving like a little bit of a shiny. Here's the part with nothing on it, and here's the part with the shiny. A little bit of a shiny adhesive all over my woven fabric. And this can be thrown away, or you can use it as a presser sheet later. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is take your lining fabric and place it right on top, pretty side up this time. So here's the wrong side. It's going down against the sticky bonding material. Pretty side up, or right side up. And then again, you're going to press this, just as you had done before, lifting your iron and placing it down, holding it in place according to your manufacturer's instructions. And I'll continue doing this until this lining piece is totally bonded, and I'll meet you back at the cutting table. Okay, we're going to begin cutting. If you recall, I had you start out originally with the piece being 15 inches long. We're going to cut this piece in half, and we want each, or into two pieces I should say, and we want each piece to be 7 inches long. Well, 7 and 7 is 14, and we have an extra inch there. The reason why I added that extra inch in there was so that on the very beginning of this piece, over here, we could cut off just a smidgen of some, just to make sure that our woven fabric is adhered to the bonding fabric really well at the edge. So what I'm going to do is just line this up and cut off about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, and then I'm going to measure down 7 inches and make another cut, because I want this to be 7 inches long. Okay, there's one. I'm just going to make a darling, darling little purse. I'm so excited. Okay, there's one. And now we're going to cut down again and make another 7 inches. Okay. Now we have our two 7-inch pieces. And now we need to take the pieces that are 7 inches long 7 inches long, and make them 5 inches wide. So there's some right here that goes beyond the edge of my lining, so I certainly want to cut that off to begin with before I begin measuring. Because as you'll recall, my woven fabric was a little bit longer when I first started out. So I'm going to cut that off, flush, and then I'm going to measure this to the 5-inch mark. So what we have here, from here to here is, I need to move this over a little bit so you can see better. From here to here is 7 inches, and then I'm going to measure over 5 inches to here and cut this off. So you can see when you're actually making your bag, you may not need to make it quite as wide because that's some wasted fabric, but I'm sure I can figure out something to do with that. There's my first piece. And now my second piece, I'm going to do the same thing again. This side has some woven fabric that's peeking out behind the lining, and I'm going to cut that off and cut off a smidgen of the lining with it. Again, just to make sure that my heat and bond is adhered well. Then I'm going to put this flush up against the 0, measure over 5 inches, and make a cut. Okay, so here are the two parts of the bag that we will be using when we put in the zipper. It's going to look like that, and the inside's going to be like that. So, join me while I show you how to put in the zipper. Okay, for your zipper, to begin with, what you're going to do is take one of your pieces of woven fabric in with the lining and put it with the woven side up facing you. Then you're going to get your zipper. This is the front, obviously, where the pull is. You're going to place this front side or the pull side down on top of your fabric. Okay? Now what you want to do is line up the tail or the bottom of the zipper with the bottom of your fabric. And make sure that you do it like this. With your zipper, you take it here and you just move it over until it gets to the end. Okay? Now what I always recommend that people do is this. Take a pin, pin it in place in one spot, and then turn it over and see. Are you going to get a nice fold where the zipper is? If you do, that's correct. If you were to put your zipper here and sew it on, when you folded it over, it really wouldn't do right. So as I said, the best thing to do is just have your fabric woven side up facing you. Put your zipper maybe right down in the middle of your fabric, pull side down, and then move it over to the right until it comes to the edge and stop. And then pin it in place. Now to begin stitching, you will probably want to move the zipper pull down out of your way. Okay, but let's go over to the machine and I'll show you there.